Good afternoon. Can the folks in the back hear me okay? Awesome. I have 9 kids, so I can raise my voice if I have to. So if you can't hear me, you raise your hand and I'll yell at you too. So my name's Mark Lannerman. As you heard, I'm the Chief Technology Officer of Computer Forensic Services. Before joining CFS, I was a supervisor with the U.S. Secret Service. I was part of its Electronic Crimes Task Force. So I've been doing cyber breach investigations and digital forensic projects now for just about 28 years. I've been very fortunate to have worked on some pretty interesting cases. I worked on the Bernie Madoff case. I worked on the Martha Stewart. Do you guys remember Martha Stewart? Okay, reruns, right? Okay. But the only case that ever impressed my mother was the Paul McCartney divorce. So I finally have street cred with my mom. So anyway, enough about me. Coming into today's session, I wanted to put myself in your shoes. If I was you, what would I want to hear about? So these are some of the topics that we're going to cover today, as well as my breakout session after this session. So the first topic will be phishing. And phishing, these are those scam emails that I know fill up your inboxes every single day, and we deal with them all the time. But the fact is, if I was going to attack you, that's how I would do it. So I thought we may as well take some time and talk about phishing and these scam emails. And then kind of playing off of that, all of us have heard the term data breach, and it's in the news all the time. But I thought maybe some of you have never seen what that actually looks like and how quickly a data breach can be accomplished. So I'm going to show you how quickly that can occur. And then whenever I come to these conferences, people always ask, someone told me that when I go to a conference like this, I should not get on Wi-Fi because it's dangerous. Is that true? Yeah. And I'm going to show you why. So I'm not just going to say, yes, don't do it. I'm going to show you why that is. And then by that point, you'll probably be depressed. So in an effort to lighten the mood a little bit, our office, my practice, is about 20% criminal and about 80% civil. So for the most part, I work with lawyers and courts and corporations. And my all-time favorite case ever, I call it the chicken. I'm not going to spoil the surprise. You're just going to have to wait and see why, but it'll be worth the wait for you. And then to wrap up this morning's session, I thought maybe some of you have maybe never heard of the dark web. Maybe some of you have never seen it. And so I'm going to take you on a live tour. I'm going to show you real cases that pass through my office from law enforcement sometime in either 2017 or 2018. So these are real law enforcement cases. I'm going to do it live. And the fact that I'm doing it live means that these criminals are still in business despite federal law enforcement's best interests. But then kind of to plug my breakout session, we're going to cover cell phone evidence, the Internet of Things. I'm going to do a live hacking demonstration. Ooh, come and watch. And then we're seeing a huge increase in fabricated electronic evidence in our civil cases. And we recently had one in which we were able to prove email fabrication. So if you want to see how we did that, come to the breakout. And then doxing. Whether you attend this afternoon or not, doxing is the online posting of our personal information. Unfortunately, we get involved in a lot of stalking cases involving judges and lawyers and investigators. And one thing that I've done, and it will be disseminated to you electronically, I've put together a one-page instruction sheet on how to remove your personal information, like your home address and your personal phone numbers, off the internet. But if you want to learn more about that, come see me this afternoon. And then if we have time, because of the tie-in to the dark web that I'm going to cover now, I'm going to take you on a walkthrough of the Prince death investigation. So if anyone is interested in that, come see me this afternoon. But before I get to phishing, I got to share with you my all-time favorite photograph. A couple of years ago, I was really honored. I was asked to speak at one of the largest cybersecurity conferences in the country. It was held in New York City. And I show up, I'm really excited. We had about 3,500 attendees at this thing. And I show up to get my name tag, and there's no one sitting there. So I have an unattended laptop at a cybersecurity conference. And I look down and something gets my attention and I just think, oh gosh, this is too good to be true. I gotta take a picture of this. At one of the largest cybersecurity conferences in the country, this slide became the opening slide of my keynote address. I've not been asked to return. But the point is, and the main takeaway for you as court managers, the main takeaway today is hackers need our help. Hackers need our help. They either need to take advantage of our laziness, our arrogance, it'll never happen to me, or they trick us. Congratulations, you've won a $50 Best Buy gift card to claim your prize, click here. Okay, I received an email just a couple of weeks ago from the Minnesota State Police, from the BCA, Bureau of Criminal Apprehension. A registered sex offender has just moved into your neighborhood. To see who it is and to see what steps you can take to protect your children, click here. Okay? Hackers need our help. They need to trick us into clicking on things or opening things like attachments. Now, this email, this happens to be my all-time favorite phishing attack example. And it's an email purportedly from Google. Hi, so-and-so. Someone just used your password to try to sign into your Google account. It happened on Saturday. We here at Google, we are so techie, we log the offending IP address, and we track the bad guys back to the Ukraine. And we all know everyone in the Ukraine is a hacker, right? I think they even did a study on that. But we here at Google, we saved your bacon, okay? We stopped these bad guys from accessing your data. But now, you should change your password immediately. To do so, click here. Now, hopefully after today, no one will fall for this. But the reason why this happens to be my favorite phishing example is because of the identity of the recipient. The recipient of this email was John Podesta. You may remember John as Hillary Clinton's former chief of staff. This is the email. This is the email that arguably influenced a U.S. presidential election. And as though that wasn't bad enough, his password was password. But it had a capital P, so that made it more secure. Uppercase, lowercase, okay? So the point is, and one takeaway is hackers need our help, okay? And security and arrogance don't mix, okay? We cannot be so arrogant as to think no one is gonna pull this with me. Okay, we fall for this every single day. And these emails make criminals an awful lot of money. In Minnesota, there is a very successful pharmaceutical company. Their chief executive travels to China. He's speaking at a conference in China. And the company is very proud of their chief executive, so they announce it on the company's webpage. Our CEO is in China. So now the world knows the CEO is in China. While the CEO is in China, the CEO sends an email to the company's chief financial officer, the CFO. Hey, CFO, I'm in China. Conference is great, very well attended, meeting a lot of great people. But I have come across a remarkable opportunity. I have discovered a young startup company here in China that is doing research that is literally 5 years ahead of anything we have ever seen. Now, CFO, you are the only person at the company that I trust with this information, so tell no one. But we are going to acquire this company. CFO, I need you to immediately wire $52 million. Anyone see anything wrong with this? I need you to immediately wire $52 million to this account in China. I will give you all of the details when I return to the country in 10 days. 10 days. 10 days is an eternity in the life of a wire transfer. 10 minutes is an eternity in the life of a wire transfer. CFO, do this right away. Talk to you in 10 days. So the CFO, being the dutiful CFO that he used to be, picks up the phone and says, "Bank, it's the CFO. I need you to wire $52 million to this account in China." And the bank says, "Okay, great. You're the boss. It's your money." And the money goes. 10 days go by. The CEO returns to Minnesota. "Hey, boss, how was the conference?" "Oh, it was great. It was great." "Hey, when do you want to talk about that secret acquisition?" What acquisition?" Gulp. "You know the one. The acquisition you told me to wire $52 million to China to close on 10 days ago." "You did what?" "You're fired." Now, you may think, "Oh gosh, that's a terrible, awful story. It could not get any worse." It gets worse. The company then decides to sue its bank. And what happens when you sue? Now everything is public. So now everyone knows you're an idiot who wired $52 million because of a couple of emails. And the company's position is, "Hey, bank, you're a financial institution. You should have known that this was fraud." And the bank's position, which I happen to agree with, "You used to be the CFO. You should have known that this was fraud." Okay? So, another takeaway for you today is security is a balancing act. Whenever we gain convenience from from technology, we give up a little bit of security. Whenever we gain convenience from technology, we give up a little bit of security. It's like a balancing act. There is no such thing as perfect security. It's all about understanding the risks and managing the risk. How much risk are you willing to accept? Okay, it's a balancing act. Okay, but what I suggest is the next time someone asks you for something of value, like $52 million, pick up the phone and confirm that. "Hey, boss, I know you're in China, but got your email, $52 million. I just want to make sure that decimal place is in the right, spot. That's a lot of money." And if that CFO had simply picked up the phone to confirm this, that CFO would have been a hero instead of working at Arby's. And he's not even allowed on the register. Pick up the phone, okay? In 2018, 4 of the top 10 law firms in Minneapolis retained our company because they were victims of phishing attacks. These are sophisticated attorneys. We saw 2 types of attacks. Attack number 1 was an email purportedly from the managing partner to HR. Hey, HR, I need all W-2 information for all employees right away, thanks. Well, when you receive an email, typically we see the person's name, right? And HR thought, well, yep, that's the managing partner, send all W-2 information. Okay, reply, here's a spreadsheet with all W-2 information, send. She didn't bother to see that the email address was, hacker@gmail.com. Okay, so 4 of the top 10 law firms in Minneapolis are now paying for credit monitoring for all of their employees. Like it matters. Thank you, Equifax. The second attack that we saw was an email from the clerk of courts. No name, just the clerk. Dear attorney, judge, as a courtesy, wanted me to reach out to you and remind you have failed to complete your e-filing. If you don't complete e-filing on your client's case by end of business today, the court is dismissing your client's case with prejudice. To complete your filing, click here. No name of the clerk, the judge isn't named, the client's not named, there's no case caption, and attorneys are clicking on this. Okay, so just know that you guys are targets, as are your customers, the lawyers and corporations that you work with. I was in Florida a couple of weeks ago, and I saw this, and kind of along the same lines with phishing, and now it's I think 2 or 3 Florida cities were hit with ransomware, and and they say crime doesn't pay. And cities are paying. I think that's terrible. I don't like the idea of paying a terrorist. Okay, this is cyber terrorism. Okay, make no mistake about it. And if you ever are in a position to even consider, gosh, do I have to pay this ransomware? Fire your entire IT staff. Sorry, IT guys, but you should be making backups. You should be able to recover from a ransomware attack. Okay, and again, this attack happened via emails and a link. So I thought we would talk about a real breach. Earlier this year, my firm was retained by the state of Minnesota. A city was breached, and this is the email that was the cause of that breach. Little bit of background. Northern Minnesota city, a smaller city, working with the state of Minnesota to procure grant money. We want to increase our tourism. So state, can you help us identify some grants? And they've been working with the state for, I think, 3 years now. And one day, the city employee received this email from the state of Minnesota employee, and they've been working together for 3 years. So yeah, there's trust there. I know who this email is from. Subject line, reminder invoice, and you can see there's an attachment, and from the extension, we know it's purportedly a Word document, .doc. Now, during the course of your day, you guys use email, right? You've heard of email, right? And I assume it's pretty common to send and receive attachments, right? Like Word documents and PDFs, right? So nothing unusual here. Email reads, good morning, please find attached invoice that was missing. I can confirm that $50,956 has been received 11/29/2018. Thanks and best regards. Now, when I first saw this, the first thing that jumped out at me, if you look at the bottom redaction on the right-hand side, @state.mnus. In Minnesota, it's @state.mn.us. Really easy to overlook, but I noticed it. The employee, the city employee, first thing she does is open up the Word document. And I'm going to show you what that looks like here in a second. I'm going to show you what she saw when she opened the Word document. But she opened up the Word document, she got an error message, and what the city employee then did was she hit forward and sent the email to every employee in City Hall saying, I'm having trouble opening this Word document. Can someone give me a hand? And she single-handedly infected over 70 computers at City Hall. Okay, so what happened when she opened the Word document, I'm going to show it to you here in a second, is inside of the Word document there was something called a macro. And a macro, all that means is it's a small program that will do whatever you tell it to do. So in this case, what the macro did, first thing, do I have an internet connection? If yes, then download a bunch of nasty software. And it starts downloading a bunch of malware, including keyloggers, which keeps track of everything the employee is typing, like usernames and passwords, like wire instructions, okay? So let me show you what this looks like. So whenever I get involved in an investigation, the first thing we do, we have to preserve the evidence, okay? Electronic evidence is incredibly fragile. Date and timestamps, incredibly fragile. And just turning on a Windows computer, you can inadvertently modify about 400 date and timestamps. So the first step in our investigations, preserve the evidence. So we create copies, forensic copies of the hard drives or cell phones. And then I like to see, what did that employee see? What did that victim actually see? What did that suspect see? So I like to, working from a copy of a copy, I like to virtualize it. And this is a copy of that city employee's computer. This is what she saw. This is her background. You can tell from the background, out-of-date technology. She was 4 years behind in software security updates. I guess they never knew that you can update Windows periodically. No antivirus. Who needs antivirus? So we're using no antivirus, no anti-malware software at all. We're using an old version of Windows, and we haven't patched anything. Gosh, how did we get hacked? So I'm going to hit click, and you're going to see a 10-second video of what happened when this employee double-clicked on the Word document. Okay, so this is a video of a breach, and it takes less than 10 seconds for that breach to infect this computer. Okay, starting now, 10 seconds. Current technology. Okay, and that's it. So they were using Office 2010, outdated, no updates, no patches had been applied, and then she gets this error message. And the error message reads, you are attempting, and I'm no scholastic, but ATTEMTING, attempting. And this is what she sees. Gosh, I have to open up this invoice. So she then proceeds to forward it to everyone at City Hall. So the takeaway is, when you're dealing with technology, if something comes up that is unusual, stop what you're doing. Don't forward it to everyone at City Hall, okay? And get off the network. Unplug the network cable, turn off your Wi-Fi, and call IT for help. Okay? If there's something unusual, that should be a red flag for you. Okay? Attempting. God, I love that. I just wanted to let you know, too, during the course of our analysis, when I took this file and I ran it through Symantec, McAfee, Malwarebytes, not a single commercially available antivirus or anti-malware tool caught this. Not one of them. It's a macro inside of a Word document. Okay? Gosh, how could that infect you like this? Here's the scary part. I wanted to see, can I do this using a PDF? Can I attack you with a PDF document? And we were successful. So just because it's a PDF, don't think that it's okay to open up. Okay? I know that's scary, but that's what you guys are dealing with now. These macros do not run on Apple computers. They don't run on your phone, whether it's a Samsung phone or an Apple phone. Windows computers only, which is likely everyone. So, as I mentioned, whenever I come to these conferences, I always, like this morning, I said, our IT guy, they don't want us on Wi-Fi when we're at the hotel. Is that really dangerous? Yes. And let me explain to you why. How many of you are on Wi-Fi right now? I can check. Okay. So, when you travel, it's important for you to, my advice to you, stay off of Wi-Fi, okay? Use your phone as a hotspot, because what can happen is this. I thought instead of just telling you, please don't do this, I thought I'd show you why you should not do this. I recently had the great honor, I was asked to speak at the Arizona Judicial Conference just a couple of weeks ago, or at the Federal Judicial Conference. And are you guys familiar with PACER? Okay, all right. So I do a lot of security assessments for courts, both federal and state courts, and we don't charge for this, so if you want to take advantage of a pretty cool service, give me a call. So when I'm in Arizona, I spoke with the chief, and we found a flaw in PACER. And let me show you what that is. So in Arizona, and with most of the state courts, the web pages are pretty similar, And so you click and go to ECF Live, which is PACER, and then you click on Document Filing System, and then you have login, right? This is pretty, I assume this is pretty familiar to you guys, right? Every state is set up like this. And then when a computer user wants to log in and file something, they type in the username and the password, and some states let you even assign a client code. Well, let's say you're doing this right now over Wi-Fi, okay? And you can see, if you look at the top, I know it's grayed out, but it does say HTTPS, okay? And if you're a techie, S stands for secure, or maybe not so much. So you have a user on Wi-Fi, okay? I can only do this on Wi-Fi. On Wi-Fi, and someone is signing into their PACER account. This is what I see. Okay, I see the website that you went to at the top. I see your username. I see your super secret password, and I capture your client code, which means I can then turn around and sign in as you, okay? This is not just a flaw with PACER, and let me just say, at the conference, I spoke with the chief, and their IT people were actually at the conference, and we worked with them for about 25 minutes and got this fixed for Arizona. Okay, so it is possible to prevent this from happening. Okay, Arizona, incredibly responsive with their IT folks. I can also do this with most state e-filing. Okay, this isn't just a problem with PACER. It's a problem with how computers communicate over the internet. Okay, so if anyone wants to talk about this further, I'm happy to do it. And remember, this isn't just e-filing. If you do your online banking, I can do this. And now I can retire much earlier. Thank you. Okay, stay off of Wi-Fi. Bad things happen on Wi-Fi. A couple of ways to protect yourselves. You can use a VPN, costs about $5 a month. If you're using a VPN, even on public Wi-Fi, I can't do this. Tether to your phone, use your phone as a hotspot. If you do that, I can't do this. But if you're on Wi-Fi here, then I gotcha. Okay? And my guess is I can get a lot of you. So please stay off of Wi-Fi. And even on the airplanes too, because I get bored when I'm in road 26E, and maybe I'm on the Wi-Fi looking to see what other people are doing. So stay, are you familiar with like go-go in flight? Well, go-go is a no-no, okay? Stay off of Wi-Fi. Okay, now that I bummed everyone out, my all-time favorite case, I love this case. For the most part, I make my living as a special master. So I tend to get appointed, court appointed on cases in which there are disputes between experts, okay? So I play like the neutral. And about 80% of my practice is civil, not criminal. And our typical case, if there is such a thing, theft of intellectual property. We'll have a key employee quit, go to work for a competitor. Did he or she steal confidential information on a thumb drive on the last day of work? That's like a typical case for us. So in this case, a little bit of background, an insurance company. A group of executives quit, form a competing insurance company. Let's call the old insurance company, I don't know, plaintiffs. And let's call the new insurance company defendants. So, new insurance company is formed, and a bunch of insured starts canceling their policies with the plaintiffs, resulting in tens of millions of dollars of lost insurance premiums. And they are now moving their business to the new insurance company. Okay? Plaintiffs don't like that, so they sue. They get into discovery. We want all of your emails about this. We want your text messages about this. And defendants, they resist. They said, this is not an e-discovery case. Okay? This is, you're not going to turn this into a carnival or a sideshow. This case is not about e-discovery. So they're fighting for a long period of time. And finally, the federal magistrate steps in and says, okay, kids, if you can't get along, I'm going to appoint a special master, me. And here is the protocol that I am going to order Lanterman to follow. Lanterman gets access to defendants' computers. Plaintiffs supply Lanterman with search criteria. Lanterman searches the data. Whatever is responsive to the search criteria, Lanterman produces to defense counsel. So defense counsel can review for privilege and responsiveness, and then they produce back to plaintiffs. Really straightforward protocol, very easy. So I'm doing my work, and I start producing documents. And wouldn't you know it, one document that I produce is a cartoon chicken. Defendants seize the opportunity. Judge, we told you this is not an e-discovery case. The special master is turning this into a circus. It is prejudicial to our client to have a team of high-dollar attorneys reviewing documents that are nothing more than cartoon chickens. Please put an end to the special master immediately, and let's get this case back on track. I'm anticipating the complaint. So on a Wednesday morning, I get a phone call from the magistrate's clerk. Mark, what's the deal with the chicken? I said, oh, you gotta trust me. The chicken is the case. You gotta trust, the chicken is everything. And I can hear the clerk thinking, oh, he used to be so good to work with. what happened? The stress got to him. Mark, is that really the message you want me to bring back to the judge, that the chicken is the case? I said, oh yeah, you gotta trust me, the chicken is the case. Okay, well, Mark, the judge wants you to attend a meet and confer with all of the attorneys Friday morning. So that's in 2 days. On Friday morning, good luck. So I'm thinking, okay, that's fine. So Wednesday, Thursday, Friday morning comes and I show up at the law firm. I go into this big conference room table. About 20, 25 lawyers are in this room. And a lot of them had thick New York accents. And I walk in, and on the conference room table is a laptop, a projector, and up on the screen is my cartoon chicken. Now, I'm secretly getting all excited about this. Because I'm the only person who knows what's about to happen. Poker face though. Poker face. So I walk in, I sit down at the conference table, and across the table from me is the defendant's law firm, big national law firm. Across the table from me is the law firm's in-house e-discovery expert. She crosses her arms and she says, you know, Mr. Lanterman, I'm sure I speak for every person here today when I say, cannot wait to hear your justification as to the relevancy of a cartoon chicken. And now I'm thinking, showtime. So I said, yeah, sure, no, I get that. Can I see your laptop? I pull the laptop over. I said, you see, the difference between you and me, the difference between e-discovery and forensics is you, as an e-discovery practitioner, all you see is a cartoon chicken, and that's it. And you decide it's not relevant, and then you move on without a second thought. As a forensic analyst, let me show you what I see. And I opened up Notepad. Are you guys familiar with Notepad? It comes free. Free is good. Comes free with Windows. I opened up Notepad, file, open my chicken. So I used a word processor to open up a graphic file, okay? And this is what it looks like. It looks like garbage. Files are made up of garbage. Files aren't made up of ones and zeros. They're made up of this. Now, one thing about hard drives, think of a hard drive as like a VCR tape, okay? And let's say you record a movie called, I don't know, Email, and you fill up that whole VCR tape. And then at a later date, you decide, I don't need that movie. I'm just gonna record over it with a different TV show. Do you guys remember VCRs? Okay, all right. And I'm gonna record over that old Email movie. I'm going to record a shorter TV show, okay? So when I'm doing my analysis, I don't care about the video that's at the front of the VCR tape. I care about what's at the end. What's the garbage at the end? So I start scrolling through the garbage in this file until I get to the end, like the garbage at the end of a VCR tape. And I come across at the bottom what appears to be a fragment of a deleted email. I've redacted the names to protect the guilty. Subject line, mission accomplished. Chris, I have the client records and actuarial data from the servers. Remember, these are insurance companies. You don't have an insurance company without actuarial data. It's the lifeblood. I have the client records and actuarial data from the servers. Let's serve notice in the morning. I can get policy transfer started ASAP. I will set up policy premium invoices to ship Friday. Cha-ching. That was my favorite part. Cha-ching. Let's grow this thing. And there was silence in a room of 20 attorneys. Guinness weighed in on this, second time in history, so we didn't get the record. Silence, 20 attorneys. Come on, guys, that was fun. Gratuitous, I know. And then a miracle occurred. And the Vatican even weighed in on this. A miracle occurred. The elderly attorney representing plaintiffs, she jumped to her feet like she was 87 again. And she yelled out as loudly as she could, "You produced that chicken!" Never heard that one before. And so I'm thinking, mic drop. I just get up and I say, well, that's the relevancy of the chicken. Have a great day. And I just turned around and walked out. I didn't answer any question. I just said, see ya. That was on a Friday morning. Saturday, Sunday, Monday morning, I get another phone call from the magistrate's clerk. Mark, hold on, the judge wants to talk to you. Mark, it's the judge. What's the deal with the chicken? I said, well, really? I mean, with all due respect, Your Honor, I think I kind of addressed the relevancy on Friday. She said, no, tell me the details. So I gave her the details. She said, Mark, that makes perfect sense. This case has been in litigation for just over 5 years. I never thought this case would ever settle. This case settled yesterday on a Sunday. These folks worked around the clock since your meeting with them on Friday. Now, Mark, the terms of the settlement are confidential, so I can't tell you any of that. But on an unrelated matter, let's say hypothetically, if you had two numbers, 24 million and 22 million, right in the middle. So the point is, and my guess is you guys don't get involved in discovery disputes, but a lot of times if parties are asking the court to grant access to native file format productions, this is what they're talking about. Because e-discovery, you're taking Word documents and converting them to PDFs and TIFFs. And you lose this. If this case was handled like a typical e-discovery case, that plaintiff never would have received the $23 million settlement that it deserved. And this stuff is less expensive. So why would you pay me, a vendor, to convert a file from one format to another and then you load it up into your online review tool? You miss the good stuff. Deal with the data that's in front of you, okay? Okay, now on to happier things. We just did a interview with Dateline, so spoiler alert. Mr. Stephen Allwine is was an elder in his church. He's married or was married with an adopted 11-year-old son. Mr. Allwine goes on a website called Ashley Madison. You've heard of it. If you're not familiar with Ashley Madison, it's a dating site for people who are married. And if you want to go on a date with someone you're not married to, you go to Ashley Madison. So Mr. Allwine, he starts dating a couple of women and he decides, gosh, I just don't want to be married anymore. So the problem for him is his church frowns on divorce. So divorce is out of it. So Allwine does the next best thing. He goes on the dark web and hires a hitman to murder his wife. You know, because murder is less offensive in the eyes of the Lord than divorce. So he hooks up with a group of hitmen online, and we'll kill her for $10,000 Bitcoin. Okay, cryptocurrency, cyber currency. We'll kill her $10,000. Okay, well, I want her dead by Sunday. He had a thing about Sundays. So I guess he wanted to bring his new girlfriend to church or something, I don't know. And I want her dead by Sunday. Okay, $10,000. He pays $10,000 Bitcoin. Sunday comes and goes, she's still alive. I smell breach of contract. He contacts the hitmen and he complains. Who complains to a hitman? They kill people. He complains. And the hitman, in an effort to maintain their AAA Better Business Bureau rating, said, Mr. Allwine, you're absolutely correct. You're well justified in being upset with us. We let you down. Not that, this is an excuse, but please let me explain what happened, and then let me tell you what we are prepared to do to make it right by you. Because hitmen are all about customer service. You got to earn that repeat business. Mr. Allwine, I assigned the B team. Okay? And as they're driving from Chicago to Minneapolis, they didn't realize that the tabs on their vehicle, they were expired. They get pulled over, law enforcement tows the car. And we fail. But let's look forward. Let me tell you how we're going to make this right by you. Mr. Allwine, really what we need the A team. And I'm thinking like Mr. T in the van and all. The A team. We need the A team. Now, Mr. Allwine, the A team is $25,000. But here is what we're going to do. The $10,000 that you've already paid, we're going to credit you that in its entirety. And then what we're going to do, above and beyond the first time we've ever done this, first time we've ever had to do this, we're going to discount another $5,000. So if you pay only an additional $10,000, you get the A team. Okay, but I want her dead by Sunday. It's a deal. He sends more Bitcoin. Sunday comes and goes, she's still alive. Disclaimer, buyer beware when you're hiring hitmen. Get references. Check like Angie's List or something, 5-star hitmen. So Allwine decides he's going to take matters into his own hands, and he murders his wife himself, stages it to look like a suicide. He goes, picks up their young son from school. Son, Mom and I were so proud of you. You're getting good grades, and we're going to take you out for a Happy Meal. The kid liked Happy Meals at McDonald's, the meals with the little toys and stuff. We're going to take you out for a Happy Meal. Let's go home and get Mom. They drive home. Run inside and get your mother. He'll pay for that one. So my thinking is, we're seeing a huge increase in cases involving the dark web. When Minneapolis hosted the Super Bowl a couple of years ago, we were hired by the NFL to assist local law enforcement in their anti-human trafficking efforts. Every case we worked on involved encrypted communications using dark web type technology. Okay, every single one of them, the communications between the pimps, the johns, and the women who really are the true victims of human trafficking. And I thought if cases like this can happen in rural Minnesota, they can happen anywhere. So real briefly, the technology behind the dark web was created by the U.S. Navy in an effort to anonymize the government's activity on the internet. It's like a masking device. I think of it as a Romulan cloaking device. Any Trekkies here? Okay. It makes you invisible. Okay, I think of the dark web as like Tombstone, Arizona in the year 1850. There's no sheriff in town. I'm going to buy whatever I want. I'm going to sell whatever I want, and you're not going to stop me because I'm invisible. You know, a couple of weeks ago, not too long ago, I was in a conference, and I was explaining to the attendees that in our investigations, we tend to come across two types of organizations on the dark web: criminals and governments. And a woman sitting in the front row raised her hand. And what's the second one? So instead of talking about it, let me give you a tour. And I'm doing this live, which means every criminal is in business right now, despite law enforcement's best efforts. Received a call from Minneapolis St. Paul Airport Police and TSA. Lanterman, we have a U.S. citizen in custody. Customs did a cursory search of his computer and has identified illegal photographs of children. Can you do the analysis? Absolutely, no problem. Cops, go get a warrant, bring it by, we'll take care of you. Cops, good job, man, you got him. Wow, yeah, he's a really bad guy. Cops, go get another warrant. I want to expand the scope of my search. When in doubt, swear it out. Only thing I remember from the police academy. I want to expand the scope of my analysis. I have come across evidence of crimes unrelated to your suspect's current detention. Judge agreed, signed the warrant. What we determined is our suspect went to this website, I'm live, went to this website and bought a real British passport. Backstory: wealthy individual, wanted to get a divorce. I was not surprised. I looked at his computer. I think he was anticipating, honey, I want a divorce, well, I want half. Well, he was not okay with half. So what he did was he traveled offshore. Well, first he went to this website, bought a British passport, name of your choice, took this passport, traveled offshore, hired a law firm as this person. I want a trust and I want help opening up a couple of bank accounts. When he returned to the United States, he then opened up, he started liquidating family assets and started funneling the proceeds into bank accounts just offshore, just outside of U.S. court jurisdiction. Honey, I want a divorce. Well, I want half. 0 divided by 2. That's how much you get, baby. Okay? Now, when TSA did their third search of his luggage, they found hidden in his Louis Vuitton bag, they had to cut the lining, ouch. They found a real British passport. This was not a counterfeit, it was a real British passport. When they scanned it in the Department of State passport database, it's a valid passport, okay? His picture, not his name of your choice. So unfortunately for our suspect, though, things did not work out as planned, and he's currently a guest of the Hotel Minnesota for the next 12 years. That's jail. We're seeing a huge increase in financial crimes, and there's more to financial crimes on the dark web than just buying and selling stolen credit card numbers. What is interesting to me is we're seeing an increase in crimes involving high wealth divorces, spouses getting divorced, wealthy spouses, one spouse hiding assets from another, but we're also seeing it in bankruptcy fraud. We're seeing debtors liquidating assets and taking the proceeds and putting them on what looks like to be like a Visa gift card. No name, expiration date 20 years from now, and it literally looks like a gift card, but you can put unlimited amounts of money. You can put $800,000, $900,000 on a gift card, or what looks like a gift card. Now, the downside of doing that, though, is you got to be really careful not to give that gift card away at the holidays. That's the one you want to hang on to. So bankruptcy, fraud, high wealth, divorces. Guns, this is my favorite gun dealer because the guns they sell are new and unused. And unregistered. Win, win, win. My favorite drug dealer on the dark web, they sell LSD. All products are tested by ourself. I guess their stuff really works. And, for a second, just remember, the drug dealers are not on the street corners anymore. Okay, they're online. For a second, ignore the words heroin, cocaine, and ecstasy. Other than those words, doesn't this web page read like any other legitimate online web page? We pride ourselves on offering the best quality products at competitive prices. We make every effort to go above and beyond when it comes to customer satisfaction. The heroin we offer comes direct from the importer with no middleman. You see, we cut out the middleman and we take those savings, we pass it on to you. And here they're even educating their poor, typically underprivileged, drug-addicted clients. What's the difference between number 3 and number 4 heroin? I have always been afraid to ask. And then here is their menu of products. If you're in the market for insulin syringes, $10, and then you see this weird decimal with a B, that's Bitcoin. Grand opening special, a full weighed gram. And then, of course, we see the opioids. And this is where we're seeing that. And if you come to my session this afternoon, we'll talk more about opioids and how counterfeit dark web opioids played a role in the death of the musician Prince. So I believe I am out of time. Are there any questions? Bueller? Anyone? No questions? Okay, well, thank you.